Yasodhanandana Brajajanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Radha Kunjabiyari Radha Kunjabiyari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivrajacharya, Asasati Shishimara's Divine Grace, Founder of ISKCON Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Radha Kunja Bihari Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Shri Baladeva Maya Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal Ki Jai, Shri Varnitai Ki Jai, Nitai Go. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord Spirit of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Are we on 17 and 18? 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 19. Chatur Otram Karma Sudham Chatur Otram Karma Sudham Prajanam Bhiksha Vaidikam Prajanam Bhiksha Vaidikam Vyadadat Yajna Santajyai. Is that yai or? Yeah, okay. Vyadad Yajna Santajyai. Vedam Ekam Chatur Vidham Ekam Chatur Vidham Chatur Hatram Kamar Sudham Prajanam Viksha Vaidikam Vyadadat Yajna Santatyai
Vyadadhadyagyasantatyai
Vedamekam Chaturvidham
Vedamekam Saturvidam
Chaturhotram Karma Sudham
Saturhotram Karma Suddham
Rajanam Vikshavadikam
Prajanam Vichavadikam
Yadadhadya Santatyai
Vyadadhadyagyasantatyai
Vedamekam Chaturvidham
Vedamekam Saturvidam Saturhotram Kartam
Chaturhotram Karma Sudham
Prajanam Vichavadikam
Rajanam Vikshavadikam
Vyadadhadyagyasantatyai
Yadadhadya Santatyai
Vedamekam Saturvidam
Vedamekam Chaturvidham Chatu
Shatu
4
4
Hotram
Hotram
Sacrificial fire
Sacrificial fires
Karma Sudham
Karma Suddham
Purification of work
Purification of work
Prajanam
Prajanam
of the people in general
of the people in general
Viksya after seeing
after seeing
Vaidikam
Vaidikam
according to the Vedic rites
according to the Vedic rites
Yadadat
Vedadat
made into Yajna
Yajna
sacrifice
sacrifice
Santatyai
Santatyai
to expand
to expand
Vedamekam
Vedamekam
only one Veda
only one Veda
Chatuvidham
Saturn
in 4 divisions
in 4 divisions
Chaturhotra Karma Sudham Prajanam Vikshya Vaidikam Yadadat Yagna Santatyai Vedamekam Chaturvidham. Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace of Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He saw that the sacrifice mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men. Please repeat. He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men. He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men. Purport by His Divine Grace of Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Formerly, there was only the Veda of the name Yajur, and the 4 divisions of sacrifices were there specifically mentioned. But to make them more easily performable, the Veda was divided into 4 divisions of sacrifice, just to purify the occupational service of the 4 orders. Above the 4 orders, namely Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, there are the Puranas, the Mahabharata, Samhitas, etc., which are known as the 5th Veda. Sri Vyasadeva and his disciples were all historical personalities, and they were very, very kind and sympathetic toward the fallen souls of this age of Kali. As such, the Puranas and Mahabharata were made from related historical facts which explain teaching of the 4 Vedas. There is no point in doubting the authority of the Puranas and Mahabharata as parcels of the Vedas. In the Chandogya Upanishad, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Verse 4, the Purana and Mahabharata, generally known as histories, are mentioned as the 5th Veda, According to Srila Jiva Goswami, that is a way of ascertaining the respective values of the revealed scriptures. Om Jnanamarandasya Gyananjanamakaya Chakshushanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, this dividing of the Veda was for the sake of the people being able to understand and apply it more perfectly. We get from the Mahabharata the history of India's kingdom, and we can see from the lifestyles of the people then the etiquettes that are real in their normal daily activities in the way that they conduct themselves, human beings, and then what to speak of the etiquettes even that they followed even in war, even in battle. Now, at the end of the day was over, they'd take prasadam to eat together like they were family. And so it was of a completely different nature. They followed respectively laws that regulated the form of war that they were involved with. But during that war, as Kali started to move in, right before Krishna left, we see by the end of the battle they were breaking all the etiquettes that were normally considered to be those which were to be followed by both sides. The same thing going on now throughout the world. Close to 100 years ago now, there were, you might say, pacts made by the enemy of the world came together and decided that they could not use germ warfare as a way of killing each other, or poisonous gases and things like that. So today, in a sense, these etiquettes kind of lap into our society from that which is established in the beginning of what etiquette was and how people should deal with each other, even during battles and wars. But then you have people that have no regard for law whatsoever, and that's what's happening to a great extent now, in where you have pirates out on the ocean looking to take over those who are carrying supplies to other nations and other countries. And this is all, of course, the false ego, believing, and to some extent these people I come to understand have been forced into these situations as well because of oppressive governments. Then when their leaders and the rulers do not take care of the people in general, the people rebel. And the needs of the people are not being met, then there's much dissatisfaction with government, dissatisfaction with life. People can't carry on their functions and duties. So Vyasadeva, revealing the nature of a Vaishnava. So he is, during the time that he's doing this, applying the precepts, the principles of the Vedas to the present society at the time, revealing here why was because that the present society wasn't as equipped mentally to be able to carry out without them being put into sections for each of the four societies. So the battle was with mantras, and the Yajurveda is those mantras that were used in the battle. The Samaveda then puts those mantras. Similarly, we have Bhagavatam put into song, which is also revealing to us the lifestyle, the etiquette. The etiquette of those inhabitants, where these truths are coming from. In the spiritual world, everything that's spoken is a song. And every step that's taken is a dance. So we are getting this truth from the place where there is no anxiety, and where those those inhabitants are experiencing the highest forms of consciousness, which Srimad Bhagavatam is being given to us to also be able to experience to the extent possible in these human forms. But now, also being spoken about here is a sacrifice. And during Treta Yuga, which was right before this Yuga, then sacrifice, fire sacrifice, was the means of going back to Godhead. So people who would take part in their daily activities, a portion of those activities would be brought for offering to Krishna, offering for the sacrifices in general. And the public were more in a united society. Everyone was taking part, for the most part, in Vedic sacrifices. Whereas today, anybody who is involved in quote-unquote religion, doing it separately and all in their own little ways. They all have their own little separate ways of distinguishing themselves from one another. Because of those distinctions from each other, that makes them superior. And that also makes them the only ones that be able to find God, so to speak. So there's a lot of condemnation in this age. The differences people are seeing amongst themselves because of the false ego. They are judging outwardly by the appearance of people, whether people are qualified or not. Vyasadeva, in his mercy, knowing that there are various qualifications of human beings, he gave them, according to time and circumstance, a means by which each class or group of people find a means within their daily functions to be purified, have their consciousness purified. The work itself requires a certain amount of attention. People have to use their minds to function whatever they're doing, picking fruit or in the field or cleaning the streets or building a house. The mind has to be used in all kinds of involvement with the material energy. So there needs to be a purification of that for the mind to be able to experience peace and happiness. Otherwise, if it is totally filled only with those concepts and that form of energy that is the external energy of Krishna, it's not going to have the complete experience it would have following the regulative principles and contributing also to the prescribed by Krishna method or process for experiencing him. So in the fire sacrifice, it is described that the fire becomes the mouth of Krishna. So then whatever is put into the fire then, Krishna is accepting. And then that which would otherwise just be thrown away or consumed by those who have desires from the false ego, and it would have to be encapsulated within this world over and over again. Now, by it also being offered in the sacrifice, being part of the sacrifice, tremendous benefit is made by every living entity involved in the process. So when we go out on Sankirtan, of course, we're chanting, we are getting tremendous benefit by doing that, but every single living entity, including the grains, the blades of grass, the chipmunks, the squirrels, the birds, and what to speak then, the people, the dogs, everybody gets to benefit by the hearing of Krishna's holy, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And on the planet here visiting was playing his flute. And this of Krishna's name is by Sanatana Goswami described as the same and not different from the playing of Krishna's own flute. So we can attract the general public. When they hear the chanting, they're wondering, what is that sound about? And then with the melodious, harmonious singing, then it, how can we say it, kind of provokes the souls to want to know and want to hear themselves also. Where is this sound coming from, and why are they singing this over and over and again? But see, in our minds, no matter what we find ourselves having to do, even if we find ourselves in a place where we out loud chant or speak Krishna's name, sometimes you're at a job where you're serving the public, still having the function, we can use this function the mind has to create to sing. And we can make offering our minds to Krishna as well. And it's so actually effective that some of the Goswamis engaging in the activity of making an offering to Krishna with their mind, even by feeling whether the offering was properly cooked or not, they could burn their, by testing it in their mind while they were making the offering, touched to see if it was hot enough. And there was a time when one of the Goswamis actually burned his finger, and when he came out of the he was in, when he was making the offering, his finger was actually burned. So this, Krishna gives us evidence of how he values the thoughts of our minds, because he's sharing this body with us. There is a communication there that's going on, and a record is going on that he's fully aware of as super soul. So what things he likes to partake in, he reveals to us, and how he likes to live, he reveals to us, so that we take part in those activities, he will feel more satisfied sharing this body with us. We will make his home a place that he will feel well in. So that is also a good reason for us to follow these principles: waking up early in the morning, taking a shower, washing our mouths, applying tilak. All these principles are there that not only aid the devotee, but please Krishna, because these are the activities that let him know that we're appreciating that lifestyle that he's letting us share in, to know what Vaikuntha is like, to what spirituality is like, to know what love is, and to taste with this human form that which God is giving living entities who have so long immersed themselves trying to enjoy the material energy. And now he reveals to us who he is, what to do to please him, and how to get back to where he is, so that we no longer have to be subjecting ourselves to the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and we can know what perfection of life is, and we can know what life is without distress, without anxiety. Even in our moments of distress, we may suffer from pangs of the physical body, still many times removed from that consciousness without Krishna, that souls are suffering from. Because all that the mind finds itself able to embrace in this material universe is only resulting in the suffering of the living entity that chooses to engage in that form of energy. Which is why devotees have the desire to only be engaged in Krishna's service 24/7. So that doesn't mean we don't take rest. It doesn't mean we don't eat or have to perform the regular functions that everybody else does. But according to time and circumstance, Krishna gives us the ability now, these precepts that are from the spiritual world, the eternal dwelling, but to the extent that we can in the material world. So, I know that there is such a thing as sleep in the spiritual world. Because we see in Bhagavatam, there was a time, each manifestation of material universes go through various changes to the extent that at different points in history, there is a manifestation more so of spiritually minded living entities than at other times. So we can only imagine if the whole universe is full of living entities that are all thinking about Krishna, that are living their lives in accordance with the principles. And see, Krishna gives them the ability to communicate with one another. So the way it is in such a yuga, they have full communication with other planets and they come and go. And they even have planets given to them. Krishna gave, Kashyapa Muni gave a planet to. Dhruva Maharaj, he gave a planet to. Bali Maharaj, he gives a planet to. So, these are opulences, ultimately seen from the spiritual realm. These are little tiny specks of dust, not even that size. We're in a microscopic place, inside of a body we don't belong in here, trying to find happiness in a place we've rebelliously run to. Here we are in the material world, a place of death, and we ran to get here, somehow or other, it says. Lord Chaitanya Shikshastakam, he says, Lord, somehow or other I have gotten into this material mess. Please get me out. Please pick me up and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So this proper perspective of where we are. One of the atoms, an atom is so minusculely tiny that you can't see it with the naked eye. And even they only see with microscopes evidences that the atoms make of their having been there, but they're so moving so fast, they see them, but they can't actually pinpoint where they are. So that's where we are in the universe. Even all these planets and the universe itself. Just think of that. The entire universe itself, from where we came from, is a microscopic speck. Microscopic speck. A little tiny place way out on the edges of town that nobody should go to over there. We stay in our Vaikuntha realm. There is no anxiety and there is no death. So somehow we wandered out of the neighborhood and got into the bad neighborhood of birth, death, old age, and disease. So we have to sing the song that brings us back home. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the song itself brings us a remembrance where we came from and can bring us full realization of the nature that we are. This eternalness is a substance, the nature of the soul that can be experienced at every moment, being covered by a temporary suffering blob of flesh the soul is covered with, can make it very difficult when we are concentrating on that blob of flesh to somehow find it satisfying away from eternity. And knowledge and bliss is the only substance there is. I was thinking today, is it possible to see this material world if it also has come from Krishna's own body, is it also made of knowledge? Is it also made of eternity? It's transforming, and we see that in its transforming state, sometimes it becomes invisible even, almost non-existent, you could say, with fire. So everything in this material world, even though it may be emanating from Krishna, because of the fact that it is the external energy, it is of a different nature than that which the internal energy is made of. And similarly with ourselves, we know the world outside is made of different stuff than our bodies are inside. And we don't look at breaking a rock as having the same significance as breaking a human being. So there's value to the form that lives are taking as compared to those forms that are inanimate or that have no life in them. And the difference there is between them is that breath of Krishna. That soul that we are is that which in its original form came out of Krishna's body as his breath, the breath of life. So every living being that is existing has a means of being able to breathe, and it has its dependence upon the breath for its existence. And that breath is Krishna's own breath. Our breathing is that which Krishna has made into existence, has brought into existence by his own breath. So there was a time when this place did not exist, but now it does because Krishna brought it into being. There was a time when we were inside of Krishna's body, but now we're here because Krishna breathed us into the body. So, also, there was a time before this universe existed that we existed. We existed before the universe existed. So it's possible we were in other universes, but it's also possible we were in Vaikuntha before we came into the universe. So everybody wants to find out, oh, how did I get here? How did I get here? The only way we can know how we got individually is for Krishna himself, through consciousness, to reveal to us. Because each and every one of us are different. We came in at a different time. We were born at a different time, from a different body, under complete circumstances. Each and every individual came here, different desires, different times. But Krishna can reveal to all of us what he wants to do, what we have been doing, and how to get back to where we all want to go. This pursuit for happiness, actually an expression of wanting to go back home. They're looking for the carnival of life to have fun in. The movie house is for the fun that they're looking to have. The carnival with the rides is for the fun they're looking to have. The boat, the plane, everything they're making is for the pleasure they think they can find here. And it's all an expression of wanting to get back to Godhead without realizing it. Because it's that longing that we have for that pleasure that we are. To know what we are, that's what we're longing for. This expression of the belief that we have to find somewhere. It's all the need of self-realization. When one comes to the point of realizing the substance we are made of, then we will be brought to the stage where we know we don't need anything else. Just need to get back home and engage in that energy that will bring us back home by developing that love for Krishna. Everything this movement has is centered around our development of love for Krishna. So, actually, while so many living souls, living entities are out there in the animal forms, in the bird forms, in the human forms, fighting, causing disturbances, experiencing envy, lust, anger, torment, pain, all these things living entities are going through, while the devotee, taking upon himself the pleasure of serving Krishna, the Supreme Person, gets to experience bliss, gets to experience the source of bliss. By knowing the self, we know bliss, because we're coming from the source of all bliss. Krishna is bliss itself. And so we are parcel of Krishna. So to know that bliss, we simply have to know self. To know the self, we simply have to engage the living being that we are, engage ourselves, our mind, our bodies, and the soul that we are in that energy that Krishna is, that internal. So, this should be our realization. You can see more with your eyes closed. Spirituality. If you're meditating upon Krishna, if your hope, your desire, your dreams, your longing is simply to see that lotus foot of Lord Krishna, whose glorious presence brings Vaikuntha, brings the power, the force, and the security of knowing that we have full protection by Krishna now for our whole lives. As long as we keep this endeavor, wanting to do for Krishna at every moment, we just want to do something that Krishna will find pleasure with. Whether it's reading a book, chanting, sharing our experiences with others, maybe going to buy something for Krishna. Everything we can do in our life can be that which brings us the happiness of knowing Krishna. The happiness of life will be found sublime when it's all centered around that which is ultimately being granted to us, being given to us by the Supreme Person, from whom all pleasure comes, from whom all satisfaction comes, from whom all knowledge comes, all wisdom, all life, coming from one person, Krishna. Not you, but the one who is in you, actually. So if I looked at you and I said, actually, it's coming from you, if I'm talking to Super Soul, that would be true. So can we see other souls from the perspective of them being inhabited by the Supreme Person? The body is being inhabited by Krishna. Every body we see is being inhabited and used by and directed by, guided by, because karma has bad results. So Krishna will guide the soul who thinks he's getting pleasure from engaging in karmic activities. Krishna will give him the guidance on how to do that. It will give the thief the understanding of how to open the safe, which will cause him suffering in the future. But that's his desire. It's what he wants to do. So, Krishna, you want to do that? Okay. Go see what will be the result. So do we want to run off and go off into the material energy? Then Krishna said, okay, well, Go see what the result will be. So then when we suffer, we have only ourselves to blame. It's our fault that we find suffering. We bring it upon ourselves without knowing we are sometimes. Because if we really knew what, involving ourselves with the energy causes, then we wouldn't want to involve ourselves with the material energy. I don't know why I do anything else besides chanting. I get the greatest experience when I'm chanting, but I don't know what it is. It's like something is keeping us from total bliss. Is our previous karma, our involvement, our desire, and it just has to be purified. So when it's purified, then we will find ourselves chanting, and only serving Krishna, without any other desire. Pure means no other desire, right? Just wanting to serve Krishna. That's pure. Tainted means having some other desire with it. So I want Krishna's desire and my desire too. That's tainted service. So if I can get to the stage where I only want what Krishna wants, then I can be happy. Then I will be. Then we'll know what happiness is. Until that point, we're going to be striving to find what happiness is, hoping. And yet, it's available at every moment. It's happiness. Any comments, any questions, any realization? Anything you like to share?
Very well said, Prabhu.
What's that?
Very well said, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy. Yeah. I don't have shlokas memorized in my mind of what, is in Bhagavad Gita and so many precious words that Krishna has spoken. But there are mantras we have to use. Mantras, if you don't, then you're not going to be performing the service you're supposed to be performing. And I find those somehow very easy to remember. It's like it becomes part of you, I'm thinking, why is it I never have to search for the words? It's like they're just there, When I try and memorize from Bhagavad Gita or something like that, I repeat, and still I can't remember. I know one script, do you know Shminyatade, Kumaram Yovanam Jarata, Tadriyandara Traptiya, Dirastatra Namuyati. But I don't know why. I can't. I'd like to memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita, I would think it would be so wonderful. And in fact, to even have that as like a regular practice to do, like once a month or something, just recite Bhagavad Gita. I don't know why. You know what? And just speaking about it now gives me the realization of how to do that. Because all these mantras I learned is simply by repeating them. All you have to do, we have the written word, read it, chant it, do it. Krishna is the ability. I have to pray to Krishna to give me the ability. If we don't find the ability, then we have to pray for the ability. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for hearing.
Very nice.
When I become fully realized, then I'll be able to chant.